Hey, welcome to the Runaways podcast. My name is Cody. We're back for another week right before Christmas. And look who we have with us this time around. Lucas is back. He has been on more of a vacation than I think most of us have from the game here. I know you were doing school stuff. How, Lucas, has everything been for you not being around on the podcast?
Yeah, I don't even think I have been on since Worlds, which is crazy. I don't even think I've had like a recap yet. I'm pretty sure the week before was the last time I was on. But I've been good. To update those who did not know, at Worlds, I played Verdance and Starvo. I went X2 in both formats, so I finished 11 and 4. I ended up getting 18th, so just bubbled out of that top 16 money. Had the same record as some of the guys in the top 8, so I was happy with my finish. Obviously, sometimes the tiebreakers don't go your way. Um, but yeah, I think I made some mistakes in some of my losses, but overall, I was pretty happy with my play throughout the weekend, so can't complain too much about that. Since then, I have been, I think, similarly to a lot of other people, kind of taken, I have been taking a break. I just finished up school last week, had all my finals and everything. So we'll see if I'll actually be fabbing a whole lot, but especially after the holidays, I will have a few weeks of nothing to do with the calling right around the corner. So I presume that within the next week or so, especially as we get past the holidays, I will be kicking back or ramping back up rather my flesh and blood experience. Hopefully
I
not
don't
with
think you can
any
kick
actual
back
ramps.
I don't think you can kick back from Flesh and Blood any more than you've kicked back from. So
No, yeah, of course, of
definitely,
course.
definitely have
I've
to ramp up.
definitely kicked back my. Oh my god, dude. I haven't played anything.
Very good.
I had like one day. I had like one day where I was like, I'm gonna play Flesh and Blood today, and I did it, and that was one day. That was like a week ago. Yeah, I've yet to get back on that horse.
Well, Noah, you'll be happy to know I haven't spied on you this week, so I have no idea what you're playing other than TFT.
Oh, thanks, man.
I just know it's only that because I just see you in that Discord every once in a while with Yuanji.
Mhm.
But how has your week been? What are you excited about moving forward with FAB going into January?
Yeah, this is the first week in a while where I missed a locals where like I was in town. I had really no excuse not to go, but I just haven't really been feeling well. I think finally all these nights of staying up till way too late playing TFT and other games and then having, stuff to do in the morning. So just getting not enough sleep has caught up to me. So yeah, I'm looking to take this last little bit of the year to recharge my batteries heading into next year. I've also been kind of both excited and dooming at the prospects of KO looking into 2026. Um, I think the deck is pretty close to being what the most like high power version of itself that it's ever been, compared to the other decks in the format. So I'm looking forward to sending him off into the sunset and then never having him to think about ever again as a deck that I could play in tournaments where I maybe shouldn't be playing him. But yeah, so probably going to be back playing that once I get back to playing, like Lucas said, prepping for Columbus. We have a couple of 1Ks. I know the AGE is starting up again the first week of the year. I think the AGE is coming to your region as well, Lucas, and St.
Yeah,
Louis too. So
yeah, we have an AG in St. Louis. I believe it's like the 3rd or 4th of January, but I could also be completely misremembering the date entirely. So
yeah, but yeah, so they're
I'm
expanding effectively to where there's going to be the East, there's going to be St. Louis, and there's going to be the West Coast this year. So yeah, should be fun. Have more events to look forward to in the for the few weeks that we're not playing calling. So I was looking at the schedule. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to look yet, but it's pretty jam packed for next year, which is great.
The schedule is slammed. I'm very excited. I'm also playing Riftbound at the same time, so I've been doing the map out all of the events for both games for the first 4 months, and it's just like half of every month is just playing card games, like flying to tournaments, and I'm like, that looks great. And then it caps off, and like I've mapped it out till April when I'm going to Japan for Pro Tour. So it's going to be a super fun beginning of the year. I'm excited to go to Columbus. I'm excited to play some Artians. We did just have a calling, which I don't think the results were much shocking than than what we expect, other than maybe Syndra just fell off. But I did want to ask a question. There was only like 140 people or something at this event. It was like rather low. Do you think that was timing, location? I don't know what kind of player base there is in Hong Kong, but why do you think that was like the smallest calling I think we've ever seen?
There's many reasons, right? It's like you were saying, it's right before Christmas. It's just December. With FAB is always slow around this time. We just had a ban list for sort of a lame duck format. Like we have a few callings, but we don't have any like huge events. It's right before we have this huge set release where Compendium changes everything with maybe CC and definitely the addition of a new format. So we're kind of just in like a natural lull where like we always end up in this spot. And then I think Compendium being such a big change and 2026 bringing so many new things makes people just kind of naturally move towards not playing the game right now. And
Yeah.
we've been kind of joking about it, but the collective geist of Flesh and Blood players has sort of agreed that now is a time to just kind of relax, not play the game.
Yeah, I think with the way the ban list shaped out too, just caveating before I say this next piece that this probably affects very, very few people, but um, when the ban list comes out and all it does is hamper the top decks without unbanning any cards, I think it's also not super motivating for someone to be like, all right, I'm going to change my plans. I'm
Yeah,
going to, at the drop of a hat, go fly to Hong Kong because Belittle's unbanned. I'm going to break the format. When it's
yeah,
like, okay, they just banned Rootbound and Brand and Chart. It's like, okay, I'm just going to play the deck I was probably going to play already because I already booked this tournament. I'm going to make my deck a little bit worse. I'll try to figure out whatever I can to, make my archetype I was still going to play become viable. It's not something that's like inspiring people to go. Again, that's probably a very small portion of the population who would have felt motivated if they made some sort of change like that to just go fly to Hong Kong. But yeah, I was a little bit surprised at how few entrants the main event as well as the battle hard. And I don't know if you saw, it was like 30 something people playing in the Sage battle harden on Sunday.
is that the
It,
last battle hardened, or do we have
I think it's the
any?
last tournament of the year, if that's what you're asking.
Well, I mean, is it the last?
Oh, you mean
Because
the
we're
last thing that's
switching
called
from
battle
battle
harden?
hardens to showdowns.
I think there's a few at the start of next year that were
Okay,
just already on the books.
I was gonna say because that would be like a pretty fitting sort of last hurrah for battle hardens, just like a 30-person tournament in a format nobody plays.
It looks like they're
I think
continuing up until Compendium comes out.
Okay, that makes
There'll
sense.
be a few.
I think I think Columbus is kind of a big deal. Like if we get a pretty small attendance to Columbus, I think I would be a little nervous
I
personally.
expect Columbus attendance to be probably 200 to 300 players. I think it'll be small, but not like that small.
Okay, we got to ask a question of the class then. Do
Yeah,
you think Fab will ever hit numbers like other card games of
No, of
like in the
course not.
thousands?
Of course not. It's not meant
I
to.
No, like
I don't
ever,
know if I
like
would.
even in 5 years. Like, do you think it'll
No, no,
literally
never.
never really?
Talishar online is an unofficial like it's ridiculous to say that like Talishar online, which is the most important thing to the Flesh and Blood community, is like in the same conversation as like MTG Arena or like Pokemon Live or even like Master Duel. Like there's just nothing that there's no way for the game to grow outside of just the players who like playing physical card games. And every other game dips into other demographics for most of its profits
I
and
think
most of its player base. And then from there you get more people into the game naturally. Like
I
like
don't
TCG player
see
ads don't like talk they don't cater to players. They cater to the people playing. This is a crazy facial expression. Somebody screenshot
I don't
that.
I
Please.
like I don't see how Talishar has any bearing on anything that
No,
you just
it's
said.
it
Like
what I'm
a lot
saying.
of the most popular games right now have zero online client.
That's what I'm saying is that because Talishar isn't supported, like we have Talishar and LSS has shown that they've been out for a long time, right? The game is 5 years old, and they have shown us that they are not willing to commit to a digital
But
client.
I don't understand why that affect
Why does that matter?
attendance. Like One Piece and Riftbound are the two on and popping games, and they just have Talishar like things. Like they
I
don't have
think
an
I
effective
think
plan.
I mean this is the other problem is that there's no IP, so you don't have people that just play the game because of what it is. You have to attract people in naturally because they like the card game. And I think FAB is I don't know, I think there's a lot of things that they can do to get new people in, but it doesn't really feel like there's a lot they can do to get people in who aren't just looking to play a physical card game probably at a semi-competitive level.
The issue is I agree with your answer, Lucas. I disagree with all the reasons. Like as someone who has been spending a bunch of time with other card game players who are not Flesh and Blood players and having this conversation with them, the main reason why they don't play FAB is the hyper competitive card game. That is one thing that I hear all the time. It is way more expensive than any of the other card games. Even Riftbound with no supply, it's still like not as expensive as like building a general FAB deck for CC. And then you also have like the fact that it has no IP, and you combine all of those reasons together, and that's why it isn't taking off.
Yeah, I think that's all true. I think the what a lot of the things you were saying were connected to what I was saying. Where I think the fact that it's just a physical card game with a good OP system and no IP means that, like you were saying, most of the people who end up playing it are hyper competitive, or at least moderately competitive. You basically see nobody anymore that plays FAB just for fun. Like that's not a thing.
Yeah, I think this is all stuff that we've talked about before, though. I agree with all that you're saying. I was thinking more like aspirationally. This is probably the last episode of the year, right? Or maybe we do one on like New Year's Eve or something, whatever.
Yeah.
But just like looking towards 2026, do you think that we should set any benchmarks for? Okay, the game succeeded. We had a 700 person calling standalone kind of thing, or do you think that that's not a metric for success?
I think comparing us to another card game is not the way to approach. I think that will leave you disappointed. But
Like,
I do think
yeah.
that FAB is a game that can grow and can find more people. And so I do think we can try and have benchmarks like that or goals like that. But I don't think it's ever going to be like it's never going to be mainstream. I don't think in terms of like it's never going to be one of the top premier games.
Dude, these nevers in here are like crazy to me. I don't.
Sorry. When I say
I don't believe
never,
that at all.
I mean with the current way that LSS approaches the game, that's how it feels to me because they don't have an IP. They're not investing in the IP. They don't have.
Sure, I accept if they continue doing exactly what they're doing right now, then
if
I agree with everything.
If they make fundamental changes, they could, but I don't necessarily know what those would look like, and I don't know actually how.
It's literally a Netflix show. It's like literally the solution.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
I agree with this. Which there were talks about this a few years ago. I don't know if you guys remember this. There was whispers for like at least a week or two in the FAB community about a Netflix show or movie or series or something. I actually 100% agree with you though, Cody. I think that sort of thing is the perfect way to get people to buy.
So you think that that's the benchmark for if we want 2020? Let's say by like 2028, if we've gotten the Netflix show, then we'll have people clamoring to enter the events. We'll be selling out. There'll be
the show has to be good
around the block.
It has to be
good. You're saying it doesn't have to exist.
It's got to be arcane. It can't be like the original Dragon Ball movie type stuff, bro. Like we gotta get it serious.
It's got to be arcane.
Yeah.
I see.
I mean, I still think Flesh and Blood is the best card game. Like I have been spending a lot of time not playing the card game, but every time I play other card games, I go, man, I missed this, and this from Flesh and Blood.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, I think Riftbound is one of the first games in a while that I actually have just enjoyed how it plays. But I'm still pretty clamored and excited to come back to Flesh and Blood because I just miss the fact that like you just win most of your games if you're doing if you know what you're doing. Obviously at the top level, most people know what they're doing, so that kind of levels off. But like you don't go to like an RTN and just like have the same type like card game issues where you're drawing one card a turn and you're just like, I didn't see half my deck, so I didn't actually get to play the game. Normally, the last meta, okay, we kind of got to that a little bit, but you know, for the life of the game.
What do you think about, just because I'm TFT pilled right now, right? What do you think about them making a different type of game? Like, we have the great foundation of these heroes. Like, that's probably one of the main attractors for people to play FAB, that are more of like the casual audience, that they can really fall in love with the hero and see how the hero's play style.
Can you though? LL exists, so can you?
Well, that's what I was going to say, is that like, with like the TFT concept, it's just, you're just playing those heroes. Those heroes rotate. You can like a certain archetype of hero. It would be different in FAB, right? Obviously,
like a mobile game,
dude, like an auto battler coming out with all of the LOL, like with all the characters, would be sick.
That'd be awesome, right? Like, just some other way.
It would never happen. I don't. It's not worth the money to put into it, but it would be cool for, like, I don't know, the
FAB players,
tens of us who would want to play it. Yeah.
All the FAB players I know would get their pockets ran by microtransaction models.
Yeah. It would be just some other cool way of letting people discover the IP, because maybe the Netflix show thing is like, you know, even higher budget than that. So just be like other ways of letting people discover the IP. And we know that LSS is capable of making great games, so they can make another style of game that's also great. So yeah, I was thinking that could also be something interesting to look towards.
I do want to pose the argument back around though. Like, I don't, my thing is this, is I think there are sizes in which the game doesn't really need to grow past. Like, it doesn't need to be the biggest game to be successful and popular and be where the vision is for how the game operates. My concern is that it has felt like, at least on this side of the pond,
I agree,
that it has been getting smaller.
Yeah.
I went from every calling is 500 people to, well, this calling was like 450. And then you're like, this calling was 400. Okay, well, this calling was like 350. And like, you've been seeing it over years, and it's like, I'm like, okay, when do I get concerned? Like, when is it not enough people anymore? At like a calling, when you start getting like 320 people show up to a calling, you're like, is this getting too small? Like, we used to have 500 at every calling in the US. And so there is some number that exists. And from my head, it's like, if we go back to callings being 500, which is unlikely because there's so many more callings, we'll probably actually see, I would expect to see that number drop over the year if we're having a calling every single year or every single month that's travelable.
One a year.
I think the overall number might actually drop, but what is that number? Like, what is healthy? I don't know what that answer is, but I know I get concerned when I see the number only go down.
Yeah.
Outside of major events, obviously London was huge. Like, we've had callings that were massive, but it's just like the standalone by itself calling has seemingly started to shrink a little bit.
Hopefully showdowns and the fact that callings are at every world tour stop, I'm not sure how that will actually affect the calling attendance, because it seemed like, to me, people were playing fewer callings because people were playing less FAB. But if there's more callings, people are able to buy into the game more and buy into the OP system more. Like, I know a lot of people who would probably be a lot more willing to go super hard into Flesh and Blood if they knew there was like 3 or 4 callings they could drive to every year, versus just like, maybe there's one that's like, 5 or 6 hours away. So I could see it being where we get more of that, like, SCG regional grinder, like, sort of go to all the events around the country, sort of semi-competitive player. I don't know if the way that the showdown system and the calling pricing structure and all that is actually such that will happen, but that would be my hope, is that the increased number of callings means we have more people who are consistently going out and showing out to these, and then growth breeds growth, ideally.
And obviously it hasn't been that many like ProQuest seasons since, but
yeah,
I got concerned when all my ProQuests were like 20 to 30 people, and they've always been 50 plus people in this area, and I'm just like, it makes me a little nervous. Now maybe it's just stores sitting on top of each other. Maybe it's some leftover of, hey, my buddy won, I can't travel with them anymore, I'm not going to go. I know that happened at some events, but I get concerned. I know that if we start going to these callings and they end up being like 250 people, I will be sounding the alarm at that point. Like for me, that's like an alarm situation if we start having US callings at like 250 people.
What do you think will be the solution? Just raise the price and keep the same like margin, or
Cody's solution is to go play Riftbound.
no, I'm saying from the LSS POV, like is the solution that they like? I feel like I got charged like one arm and 17 legs to. I just bought my ticket for London. I was like, they ripped off all my limbs, dude.
Yeah, that is one thing that I've been curious about. Is it does feel like sometimes the entry is a little bit steep.
Look, Riftbound's not doing it better. You have to like get on the website and hope to get in within half a minute of it opening, and they're selling out 1,200 seats immediately, or 1,500 this time around, and so like half the people don't get in. Okay, that's not a solution. That's not a world we want to live in or need.
Well,
we don't need to be that big.
Part of that is also because the EV is so high for some of those events, right? It's like even like the entry promos. I'm not familiar with Riftbound, but for One Piece at least, a lot of it was like just the entry promos, and then this is true for Riftbound as well. Even just like the top 64, like the bare minimum pricing can be kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, it's more of like the best of or metal tokens. Our metal cards are
that's but whatever.
The actual tournament structure is pretty poor, and the pricing in the actual tournament structure, like cash wise, is really low for the amount of people who are entering it. But also, it's just like the only thing to do. There's not other tournaments to play in. Like if there was like more tournaments to play in, it would be different. But it's just like you want to go play like competitive. This is just all there is right now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But that's not like better. But it's just like, I don't know what LSS can do if we start seeing, lower numbers. Hopefully we don't. I'm excited to play the game. Maybe Silver Age stuff does well. It's just
I will say, I think if Silver Age does better, it will help a lot because it makes the showdowns potentially actually enticing for people to play in. It makes the pricing better. Like if Silver Age takes off and those gold foils are actually worth money, like that's probably a good enough thing for calling attendance. One thing. Historically, when battle hardens were a thing, I know a lot of people traveled to fewer when the ProQuest Plus replaced the PTI events.
Yeah,
so I could see something like that where because the showdowns are better, there's 2 tournaments where you actually might get like a pretty good value if you do well. Maybe that also draws attendance in a little bit more, especially for the people who are driving.
I mean, we're going to Columbus, and if I go to Columbus and there's like 420, 430 people there, I'm going to be like, oh, that's good. That's like that's a good turnout. For like a January Columbus in like a kind of a lame format. Like that's good. And then if it's like 350, that's like expected. If it's 200, I'm concerned. That's how I feel. Maybe those numbers are just arbitrary, don't make any sense.
No,
but
no,
like, you got to make your money back. Like they have to make money. Like hosting these events. They don't have to, but like if they do, then it makes more sense to host the events.
Yeah, they're not going to increase the number of them if they're not making money at them.
Correct. And this is like a big test, right? Like if we go through this whole year doing like a calling every single month and they're just ended up being like just not as big as they should be, or we might see like a reduction in the pricing going into
I think that's we were saying earlier, what's your like ballpark or like what's your sign that you've done well? Our sign that this did not go well is if they ever like reduce the pricing or reduce the number of events, then maybe they've led us straight. But
I think there's a way to reduce the number of events and it still mean more. They could just be hey, it's not special enough, we're going to every other month. Or they've in the past they said, I think we're demanding too much of our players in order to be competitive in this game, so we are going to reduce the number of events so you can actually make all of them. Like something like that could happen, and it could still be good.
I'm saying that's like the sign that what we've been doing has not been working. Not that it can't necessarily be fixed, or that it's a bad thing that we would be doing that in that timeline.
Speaking of this, what you said of rapid firing events too much, I was talking about this with Michael in Seattle, how they're structuring events and basically going region to region to region of the world, basically making it borderline impossible to actually play every tournament. Like you're not going to realistically, if you have, outside things in your life, be able to fly from North America to Europe to Asia, like week. So do you think maybe doing some structure where uh, they sequence the tournaments more concentrated in certain regions, kind of giving it like you have a 2 weeks in U.S. There's like an East Coast event and a West Coast event. Then you go to you have like a week or two off. Then you have two events in Europe, kind of like basically giving people options of here's like the time to focus on one region.
That would be
Um,
kind of sick too, because like you get the regional metas that like really develop over
mhm.
time, and they like shift. It's kind of funny, like the meta like not only literally shifts, but like it shifts geographically. Like the like America meta is like all verdants and like the,
I
all that, and then when we move over to Europe, it's like we get more some other thing changes, or like they have a ban list in between those or something.
I think that's probably only better for like a couple people in the world.
Yeah.
Because I think one in your area or at least travelable in your area per month is much better. Like from the US side, like us having one that we can go to every single month is significantly better than like cramming a bunch together and then like missing a couple of months. Because like traveling once a month is doable for a decent amount of people, and traveling every other month is more doable.
When
But and when it's all domestic, not having to then like you don't feel like you have to do everything now or you miss it for the next 2 or 3 months because it's all going to be in Europe. You're not traveling. The average person's not traveling internationally for a calling. It's just not enough
Yeah.
money in it to make it worthwhile. So like I much prefer the setup they're currently going with now.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think the answer, Noah, is that like it would be good for exactly like Cody was saying. Like it would be good for some of the players, but that's not the players that catering to those players is not going to increase attendance or anything like that.
I was also thinking exactly what you mentioned too about the whole
Yeah,
regional meta concept, though, about how interesting it would be if
I
like
think it would be super cool, but
yeah.
I do think it would probably not be the best for attendance,
Mhm.
but it would be
I
sick.
like to look. I just and maybe it's too soon for a lot of people, but I like
We
being
could
able
just
to
do
be
that for
like
like
I'm going
once.
to a one calling a month is like perfect timing for me. Like
Yeah.
how I feel about it.
We could also see that they could do that with like some different tournament. Like they could have a separate circuit where it's like new skirmishes. It's like it's higher. It's just like you get one event on the West Coast, then the next month is East Coast. I don't know, some like in between calling and battle hardened level event. Maybe they could try out this, because I do think that would be sick to have like the regional metas like literally move. I think that would be cool.
Mhm.
We see this a little bit with AGE sometimes.
Yeah.
But also maybe you don't have to travel to every single event if there's 3 a month. Like you don't have to do the whole circuit because you can just go to the one next month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think OSS is probably trying to push that too with how they're like rewarding invites for people who are local to the most upcoming Pro Tour Worlds or whatever. I
Mhm.
think they're probably trying not to incentivize the behavior of going to literally every single tournament they host, but just providing people, like you said, Cody, the ability to play one tournament a month.
Well, the problem is the world tour is still structured the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not 100% all the way there yet, but it seems like that's their motive.
Yep. They did not go with the cap it at your highest placing points. They just still made it unlimited. So
Mm-hmm.
um
Huzzah!
not great. I don't know. I'm excited to start playing some Flesh and Blood again. Just because I just miss playing the game, even though nothing much has changed. I'm excited to go to the calling and see everyone as well, which is always a good time in January. I did want to talk a little bit about the calling in Hong Kong, though, and we can always circle back if stuff like this comes up. But Shomo put on an absolute clinic of Kasai, and then got the typical like top 8 curse
Yeah,
luck
bro.
of like you go undefeated, you're not winning the tournament. Like it's just something. I mean, I thought maybe he could make the run if anyone could make the run. I thought definitely it would be Shoma who we would have our first, like undefeated all the way through. Um, I liked his Kasai deck. He was running sigils. That always makes me happy when I see sigils in Warrior or in Assassin. That's like one of my favorite tech cards. But yeah, the Kasai popping up and doing well. I think I don't know if we mentioned it a lot on the last podcast, but it's definitely something we've been talking about with the new bans, that Kasai is actually looking pretty good in the game. What are you guys' thoughts of Kasai popping up?
I don't know. My
Nothing?
thoughts first and foremost are just that Shoma's lit, dude.
Yeah.
I love seeing him do well. Uh, Yeah, I mean, Kasai is just a, a deck of the time of Flesh and Blood. it's
That was so well articulated,
it's a
actually.
deck that
You
plays all
nailed
the different colors, so it shouldn't be good, but like somehow it's good. I always feel like they never have enough blues, and then it just works out fine. They squeak by with yellows, or they just they draw one blue and then they could pop their gold. They draw one cost. It's nice.
Well, to be fair, Shoma probably lost that game because he drew an all red hand. So
Mhm.
there was like he's just like has all the momentum, he's ready to go, he's cooking, and then he draws a hand that's unfunctional, and then he just never gets to play the game again. Essentially, he's just like on the back foot. Still almost squeaks it out. It was a pretty good game in top 8, I thought. But
Yeah,
that has been
that
my experience
Mario-
playing Kasai. Is I just draw the all red hand, lose everything, and cry.
Yeah, that game was sick to watch. That Mario gave me a heart attack when he flicked that damn Chelicera in the last
Yeah.
turn. But it worked out. Just draw it.
And if he had drawn like a closer maker or something, then he would have looked sick by flicking that. Like it's just like one of those things. Like it just like depends what happens the next turn. If
Well,
he has something else to flick on the next turn, he just wins the game on the spot.
Yeah, I just feel like the one damage, oh man, Orb Weavers. You don't even have the yellows and blues, man. Like you only got the reds. You only have
Sure.
your Kiss of Deaths and your Codexes. But yeah, it worked
Who
out.
knows?
I guess we'll never know what happens if he didn't draw a Chelicera.
We'll never know.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Wait. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I have an interesting topic. Okay. Maybe I'm curious if you guys agree with me on this or not. I think this has been a reflection on my, not just Flesh and Blood, but just things in general throughout 2025 of situations like that where it could have on average, like the average line doesn't play out how it did in real life, but you have to play the game that actually happens in real life. I often find myself reflecting after a match and thinking like almost like an excuse for why I lost, of like, oh well, it's okay that I made this mistake because this other thing happened that was high roll, or oh, like I was going to lose anyway because I low rolled 2 turns later, or things like this where I end up making a retroactive excuse for why I didn't win in the exact situation that played out.
So I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Let me put a little context. So
Yeah.
I think you're referring to, and let's use the Mario thing we're talking about as like an
Yeah.
example. So there's a couple of train of thoughts here. Him flicking puts Shoma at 1 in that position. It does not win the game though on that turn. So there is a chance, and this happens quite often with Mario, where if the next turn he had drawn up a hand that required daggers to play, then he has flicked his dagger and he can essentially do nothing or do very little on that turn, and could have actually ended up losing the game, because we have seen, especially playing against Dan and playing Mario internally, where they just sometimes draw cards and they're like, oh, I have no daggers, I've lost because all my cards
you
need
just
daggers.
look at his deck and like 60% of the cards you're just like,
So
not 60%.
So we can say that like in a world it's objectively could be wrong, and he could have cost himself the game by making this play that doesn't win him on the turn. On the other hand, there is like also a world where maybe he has like, I don't know how much retrieve he has in his deck. He could have had enough retrieve to make this worthwhile if he hasn't seen much of it. We obviously know it's been nerfed a little bit.
For what it's worth, he had like 2 up sticks left, I think. He was, I believe I was watching at the time, and he was out of pick up the points, I want to say, because he was playing 2 and he used to.
So there's a world where he has some way to generate a dagger on the next turn, and then because he flicked the turn before, he can flick here for like a guaranteed win. However, you could also make the argument just being at 2 in general with a dagger up means that you can probably win from that state regardless of what ends up happening.
That is the argument.
So I think you could make a pretty good argument that it is a mistake to do that. And maybe just like the casters, he thought he had the game won. Maybe math-wise, he's just like, I'm flicking here because there's no way you can block through all of this. The casters, it was really funny. They're just like, they're like, oh, he's dead. Oh, wait, he's not dead. So maybe, something like that happened. And so I think, Noah, you're trying to say that like you could live in the spot where you are the Mario player. You've made that mistake. And then after the game, because you didn't lose or because you did lose, you tried to justify that behavior.
Yeah.
Is that kind of where we're at? Okay.
Yeah. There's another, I can give some examples of like it happened when I was playing live in Seattle. where like the round 1 into Dio, I presented Skullcap, and just the way that the game went, we were kind of just doing like a dance of like, I attack, he takes all the damage, he attacks, I take all the damage kind of thing. But there was one window where I could have given my Skullcap for just 2 life. And when I think back on the game later, I think about, oh, it was unlucky he played a boom or a cellar realm off the top every single turn. But then I think like, okay, sure, maybe it was unlucky game, but I didn't actually play in a way where, because I lived in this timeline where that was the sequence that was going to happen for him and it would be fortuitous, I should have done everything in my power to give myself the best chance to win. And it was actually still on me to win. And I can't just blame it on him having higher side of variance kind of thing. I don't know if that makes more sense.
You're
Makes
being
less sense, actually. Yeah.
you're being
I definitely had you like 3 minutes ago, and then Cody started talking, and then you agreed with him, and I like understood less, and then you just talked, and I understood you even less.
Well, what Cody said, I also agree with. It just wasn't really what I was trying to say. So that's why I
Okay.
wanted to make sure I agree with
I
you,
agree.
Cody.
I agree with what
More
Cody
the
said.
point I'm trying to make.
Yeah. So I think the to sort of connect this, this is actually something that I feel like I have improved on recently. So I've been playing card games for a long time. When I started playing, I was very young. I was a kid, so I did this a lot, and have it's the like oh, I wish I shuffled my opponent's deck one more time kind of thing, right? But I think this often applies to strategic scenarios as well. To use your Skullcap example, I'm gonna make a new example that's
Go ahead.
close. But so like let's say you're in this situation where you end the game and like your Skullcap didn't get its block value, but in the actual situation that you were in, it made sense not to block with the Skullcap, right? Those, I think a lot of times people will ignore either the possibility that they did the right play by not blocking their Skullcap, or some people will just go to the end of the game and ignore the fact that they could have blocked with their Skullcap. And they'll just be like, oh, it was the right play in the moment. But those are actually a lot of the times the kinds of things that are the most important to reflect on, are situations where you might feel like you had the bad side of variance, or you made a good play and got punished, or you made a bad play and got rewarded. Those kinds of decisions actually, I think, end up being the things that give you the most insight. And so in retrospect, when you go back, making sure that not only are you not getting just salting off and getting mad that you lost because of high variance, but also recognizing that you may have made the right play or you may not have, and equally weighing both of those options is something that people don't do as much as they should do. I think a lot of the times when I talk about people's games that they've just played with them, they come to me and they're on one of these sides where they either ignore the fact that they could have done something better, or they ignore the fact that maybe they made the right play and it didn't actually lose them the game. So I think that's one thing that people don't focus on enough. He agrees.
Nice. Do
you
you have something to say, Cody? Because I have something else too.
Yeah, I do think your example is more interesting than it looks like at face value, because there's a world where if you are intending to block on some turn with Dio, like against Dio, then having the equipment up to potentially stop an on hit might end up being more valuable than just guaranteeing your 2 health. And so there are times where it's probably correct to just save your 2 health, and there's other times where it's probably correct to maybe take the risk that you can get more value out of it later. But making that call is probably really hard.
That's what I was saying, yeah.
But if you can correctly make that call more often, then you might find higher likelihood or a higher percentage of winning your games than you should be. But that's the hard part of playing Flesh and Blood.
Well, that's the reason why I say those are often some of the most insightful things, is because those are things where in the game they often feel arbitrary, but those are the kinds of decisions that actually very much do end up winning and losing you games. Like think about how critically you think about whether or not to block with your Skullcap just because you're lower in life, versus how many games you get to the end of the game and your Skullcap either blocking or not blocking earlier loses you or wins you the game. I feel like for most people, the amount of time they should invest into that decision or at the very least, the amount of time in testing they should invest into understanding how to make that decision is probably a lot lower than actually makes sense for the return on those kinds of decisions. And sometimes you make those arbitrary decisions just naturally. You've played the game so many times, but actually looking back at why you lost the game and looking at those micro interactions, I think can help people interpret their wins and losses a lot easier.
Yeah. Anything else on this topic? Because I'm gonna bring it into a new topic, but it's related.
I mean, just to be cheeky, with that said, the game's great when those type of decisions matter. But I will say lately, it has felt like those type of decisions have mattered a lot less than they've ever mattered before.
Yeah, I don't know. My Huntsman loss on stream, I think I had a couple of those where like I thought the decision was entirely arbitrary, and it ended up just being like it actually lost me the game. Like there was, I won't go into it, but like I've definitely had these situations in big times games where like even if the format is like a little card gamey, like FAB is so tight in every game still, such that those little decisions still end up mattering a lot of the time.
Maybe Ethan will post the game I recorded with him sometime this year. But there's like a really interesting decision point there where I even mention it, that I'm like, oh, surely me losing 1 point on this turn cycle won't be catastrophic later on. And then there's just like a point 14 turns later where if I just had one more life, I could like dominate an attack because I get to keep a card, this kind of thing. So those times is where it's face up. It's just hard when it's beyond what I remember. Like I didn't really think about the whole skullcap getting extra value until after the game is already over. Whereas a lot of times I think in FAB, I'm recognizing that I'm making a choice now. Whereas I didn't even consider it a choice of like, it's deal. I'm not just going to like random throw my skullcap on a gun.
That's exactly what that's exactly what I'm trying to say is that I actually think this is something that like people like you were just saying, like you didn't even think about it until it happened. In testing in particular, I think doing this is very important because you don't want to be the guy who like, oh, I didn't even consider that this was an important thing in this matchup until I sat down. So if you're testing and you're trying to figure out ways to maximize that testing, this is a great example.
I think this would only even come if you recorded your game and looked back on it after.
I agree, which is why that's how I like to do a lot of my testing.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, can I bring it to a new topic? This is just going to be me airing out all the reasons I suck. So the second thing is...
Oh, I thought this was going to be a short podcast, Dan.
Whatever, man. Every time before we record, I say I have no ideas, I have nothing to talk about, and then I just end up rambling. It comes to me in the moment. Okay, so this other one is this comes from Yu-Gi-Oh! So shout out that person in the comments who's always wanting us to talk about more Yu-Gi-Oh! And I've tried to eradicate it for FAB, but it's hard, you know? I'm a human.
Eradicate. Oh.
Nice, yeah. 1 for 4. Oh, you're talking about epidemic virus. I thought you were talking about Arachne Huntsman. Okay, anyways, it's the feeling of wanting to win because you are better than your opponent. So I'll give you an example. There's a card, there's a bunch of cards that have a similar role, but Nibiru is one of these cards. Basically is a card that says like, it's a generic card you can put in any deck. If your opponent summons 5 or more times, you drop it and nukes their whole board, meteor, kill all the dinosaurs, etc. And there's a game actually. It's on stream. I was playing at a YCS in London, where I make like my full opening board. I'm like, ha ha ha! I'm the best to ever do it, and I also have this Nibiru in my hand. But in my head, I'm like, well, I don't want to win with Nibiru because then all the people after are just going to be like, oh yeah, whatever. Who cares about the deck? You only won because you drew the funny card. And so then I end up losing the game with the Nibiru still in my hand because I like don't drop it on I don't play in a way to maximize its value because I want to win with like the engine of my deck. You know what I mean? I want to like show that, oh wow, I crafted this masterpiece and like look at the gears in motion spinning so beautifully. It's a little bit hard to give an exact analog in FAB, but I feel like this sentiment is something that maybe other people can sympathize with. Of you want to feel like you played better than your opponent, not like, ooh, I did Wild Ride and I hit Beast Within off the top, ooga booga, I kill you, this kind of thing.
I think that's actually kind of like it's
why
less
people don't play Syndra Yeah.
It's less that like there's always so much that you can do to like change your play. I feel like it's more like it's like an old wives' tale. Like you're like a cautionary tale. Like this is why you just play the
You
game,
just play
not
the cards that you have. You don't have to
yeah
think about some grand strategy of like, oh, here is
yeah
how the game should play. Like
no
I should have all these things and like it's going to go perfectly and here's my master plan.
yeah yeah
I do think in Flesh of Blood, it's more that's around probably more around deck choice. People want to be making the agency plays
Yeah.
to win the game. They don't want to just be like, well, Syndra is just good math, makes sense in the meta. I play Syndra, but like you probably should have just played Syndra because it's like
Yeah.
really good and like wins
Syndra
games.
won
But
Worlds.
like people, yeah, it won worlds, and people just feel like I don't want to just be that player.
The-
And like
the
we're
truth-
like half the team is like in the same boat. Like we're
That's
like
why I'm bringing this up.
we're not gonna play Syndra, and we're
you
like
can all agree with me.
yeah.
Even if you don't know this, subconsciously you have this idea in your head of like, I want to feel like I won the skill.
Because that's the truth is like every tournament, your win rate is a combination of like your deck choice, your deck list, how you played, how your opponents played, and
like
how
this
lucky
much
you
luck.
both got, and how
Like
both
this, like a lot of luck.
yeah and then like how lucky you got. But like that skill, like your player skill, matters so little compared to everything else. Like you as a player, if you play Syndra, you're still going to get a lot, and you think you're a good player, you're still going to get a lot of edges in player skill. You're still going to get a lot of edges in deck list. You're obviously going to get a lot of edges in deck choice. You're losing like, oh, this deck is like 15% easier to play than the other deck, so I'm going to play the other deck, even though I lose.
Player skill is just maximizing your. Okay, if you've like played Baldur's Gate, you know like how you put the illithid parasites in your head, you like become less of a human. I'm sure there's lots of other games too where like the central gimmick of the game is that you become less human. You got to do that. That's like the ideal Flesh and Blood player. You got to like eradicate your humanity, become a robot, and just play optimal math, and you'll have success. Like don't take any of the emotion out of trying to do like the flashy play. Just like if you make the good plays, you'll do well, and play the decks with the good numbers on the cards, then you'll do well.
Michael Hamilton's a celebrity in the FAB community, and he is not like he doesn't make for the flashy plays, bro. Like he just plays the cards. He just shows up to work. He clocks in. He top eights, and then he clocks out. Like it's very very simple.
Yeah. It's evidence to my claim.
Yep. That's why I recognized in the middle of the tournament how much luck I was getting to be doing well at Worlds. I've also
Dude, it was actually I don't know how much you guys have talked about this, but Cody on day one of Worlds was like one of my favorite characters that we've had in the Runaways universe, dude. He was just walking up, he was like, yeah, I'm like, how'd you do? Like, are you happy? He's like, yeah, whatever, man. Like I rolled, I did some stuff, I attacked him and he died. And that was just like your whole demeanor was just like, I'm here, I played KO, I did the thing. And then day two, you start losing, you're like, yeah, I knew it was gonna happen. Like I was gonna start losing, my luck was gonna run out. You go to the last round, it's like you come up to me after your round, you're like, well, yeah, of course I won this one. It didn't matter. Like, is what's gonna happen. Like, everything was just playing out. And you were so like, not even nonchalant, but like you were just adverse to believing that it could be an isolated instant. Like this is just, it was fated.
Yeah, of course I've watched all my games back, and I'm like, well, if I'd done this differently, I could have won that game, and if I'd done this differently, I could have won that game. But like, I don't know. Something about that tournament just feels way different for me than other tournaments that I've played, because I would beat myself up like for like 1,000 years. Like I still beat myself up about like the loss at a calling Indy to Michael Hamilton when I just like messed up my kill turn. Like I just made a mistake in my kill turn. I still
think about that too.
Like I still think about that and just go, what is wrong? Like this is years and years and years. But that Worlds, I look at my games and I go, yeah, I could have made this decision. I could have made this decision, and I actually probably could have won this game. But it's like I played to the level of my skill at that current tournament with my luck and got it into winning positions every single time, and it just wasn't good enough. And like if I was a better player, or if I played at a different level in that game, or if I made a couple different decisions, then yeah, maybe I probably could have won the game. But like I wasn't going to do that there. Like I did the best I could, with what what I was given, and I was very fortunate to even be in that position. Is kind of how I felt about the whole tournament.
That's a positive.
And that's like a way different mentality than I normally would have had especially like topping worlds. It's just like, yeah, like I just was well aware of what my capability was on with the deck that I was playing and what I needed to happen to even win those games. And the fact that I got it close was like good enough.
All right, there you go. There's my tangents over. Sorry, I don't have a third topic to bring up. I think this was good. I got some things off my chest. Maybe by saying it out loud, then I'll become better at it because now more people are around.
People are there to hold you
All the millions of listeners can now hold me accountable to this.
Well, at the very least, if we do a podcast in like 6 months and you like somehow reneged on a little bit of this, I'll at least call you out for it now.
Yeah. Thank you.
Fair enough. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how my my mental is at the next tournament because that's not necessarily how it's always going to be. But maybe it's just playing KO. Playing KO just like
that's just how it is, man. Like you show
up.
That's
just how it is, man.
You show them, you know the ride you're in for. They know the ride they're in for.
To be fair, KO is infinitely deeper than people think it is with some of its arbitrary math that you have to do, and then some of its like pretty deep lines that you have to try and see to actually maximize all your percentages.
KO's the king of this, of like, look back in time. Oh, I would have just won the game if I had done this, but like, was it ever actually reasonable to do to like make that sort of play?
Yep. Only if your name's Yuanji, then it's reasonable. He just sees all the unreasonable lines and makes them reasonable.
Of course.
Perfect. Okay, I guess we can. If we don't have anything else, we can go into some podcast questions.
Yeah, dude, people got Christmas shopping to do. It's okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
We don't have to record 16 hours every week. It's fine.
People are sick of hearing us talk about the things we've always talked about. Like,
I think we had some new topics today. It was good.
Yeah. I think we had some good topics. Okay, let's go into some podcast questions. These are asked by members of our premium Metafy. If you'd like to be able to ask questions on the podcast, find people to practice with, and a host of other things, feel free to join in the link below. Delver Guy asks, for Flesh and Blood, an online presence is what seems to carry the game through 2020 to 2021 with online armories and TTS. The game seems to continue to flourish due to the most major teams uniting across the world and testing via Talishar. What could be an LSS-supported online present look like with the community that would appreciate without compromising the Flesh and Blood moniker? Basically,
I like they put present instead of presents. We could pretend like it was on purpose, Christmas theme. It's ironic that we
the words that I see.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
No, I think I agree with you. We've kind of already touched on this, but they branch out outside of the game. IPs are what's kind of hot right now. Obviously, if they wanted to do like some type of online version of the gaming, I guess they could, but I don't think any of that's really necessary.
What you could do, I was thinking about this, is like some I don't know how they would do this logistically, right? But if they wanted to make it such that you still had to buy cards in the Flesh and Blood, but you could engage with the game online and not have to wait to like play in armories, or like maybe you live in an area far away from one that holds armories, is included in the Silver Age decks have some sort of like QR code scanny kind of thing where you could then like play that on Talishar or some other online platform of just like the pre-con Silver Age decks when those come out in pen. That could be a way of like, instead of basically allowing you to play with any card like FAB integration with Talishar does, of just like you can make a deck with any card. They could make it like, okay, you just play with these pre-cons, and if you want to go out to a tournament and play against like real constructed decks, then that's where like you have to do it in the Flesh and Blood. But this can be like a nice like entry path, because I think also it's pretty hard to onboard someone virtually when they have to just figure out how to make a deck in February, then go to Talishar and like copy the link. Like we kind of take this for granted, but it's not like that easy of a process if you're not familiar with the tools or like what even a deck looks like, how to find like a, sample starter deck. So yeah, I think if they had some sort of site where you could try even like a fell table thing too, you could do it like just against an AI. It doesn't have to be against a person, where you could, just do like these starter deck battles against, I think probably against the AI is actually better, just like starter deck battle against an AI would be kind of a decent online onboarding tool.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I got into Dragon Ball Super when I played it. They had like a little quick download OP thing that had like 2 decks on it that you played against the computer, and I played that like a bunch, and I was like, oh, okay, let me go actually play the game now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can just have this with the Iradex online, right? Like it's not, or whatever.
Yeah,
the new...
probably with the Silver Age decks though, so that it feels
that's too. Yeah,
if that's what they're
whatever
trying
it is.
to push. So, but I agree. They needed a lot less, I think, than other games do, just because Talishar does exist. But, so it is pretty nice for people who just want to play the game. Foxmane asks, for the rest of your life, if you could only eat foods that start with the same letter of the alphabet, which letter would you choose? Example would be like B for burgers, bacon, and bananas.
B's got to be the current front runner for me. Burgers, bacon, bananas.
Like, okay, I have mine.
Well, you could just be like baked anything. Like
baked, I think we got to go with like what
you could just like.
I think adjectives are cheating. I think it's got to be like either the actual thing or like a phrase that is that thing. Like baked beans is probably.
I think I have the winner already.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's S. You got sushi. You got steak. You got sandwiches. Come on.
You got stir fry.
You got salt. You know, you can always add an extra. Yeah, I don't know. Is this like finished product?
Salad bar?
Salad, exactly. Like you have so many huge food groups just out of S. It's unreal. I think it's S tier.
It depends on the like how you define the thing, right? Because if it's like ingredients, it might change. But if we're
I have no choice. I have to pick S because of sushi.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't go the rest of my life without eating sushi. I could eat sushi
say
for
like
the rest
F,
of my life.
And you eat fish, like.
But then you're riceless.
Yeah.
You can't go riceless.
Okay, how broad are we going here? Because it could be like, hey, animals. I'll just have any animal. Like,
I want A. I want all. Yeah, because I don't think fried rice would work if you said F. Because that's cheating with the adjective.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. Sure,
it's got to be S.
Yeah. S tier's funny enough to buy me in.
Thank you.
Fighting Walloon says, there are a lot of games that never get a new meta. Chess, Go, poker, bridge, lots of board games, etc. Why is a stale meta so terrible for TCGs and not a problem in other games? Is there any meta of FAB that you'd be happy to play forever? Well,
that's a great question.
I would argue that while chess, Go, poker is a different, I think, beast, altogether, but chess, Go, bridge, etc. are popular. They're not the type of popular that card games are trying to be, where most of those games, in order to play them at a level that you would travel around for, you must have started as like a child, because the meta doesn't evolve.
So the other reason, it's so deep. That's
well, it's really deep, but also like there's so much to know that like, and the edges are so small that you must start like as a kid to be able to be good at these type of games.
Chess is also different than all of these other games because chess is not.
There's no randomness. Yeah.
Chess is probably
Go. There's also no randomness in Go.
Yeah, chess and Go are just completely fundamentally different than card games.
I would say
poker is.
I'd say poker meta changes, but that's more of just because people understand more of how the game functions at a higher level.
The other thing is that poker is more arbitrary in Flesh and Blood. It's kind of funny. It's like the thing that we love so much about FAB is that the cards can all do so many different things. But in games like Magic or Pokemon, like more traditional card games, like your cards only do one thing. So if you get to a point where you know what your deck is supposed to do, like you just autopilot it forever. If the the meta gets stale, even things might shift around, but ultimately you're still playing the same game. Whereas poker, it's like the game, even though it is in a confined set where there's no new sets coming out or anything for poker, you are able to do so many different things. There's so much more randomness. Like a poker hand has, I don't know. I don't want to get too far into this because I
have something to bring us back.
Yeah.
So I think it boils down to actually one very simple thing, which is when you're playing a TCG, you're playing your deck versus your opponent's deck. Yes, it's a human versus a human, but in a truest sense, it's the deck versus the deck.
Yeah.
And in all these other games, you're playing a human versus a human. So because there is an element of a TCG having new cards, new decks, ban lists, etc. existing, you therefore have to keep up that cycle because you need to make it interesting for decks to play against decks.
You
And
also
yeah,
have
go
to
ahead.
create your own deck. Like exactly
Yeah,
what you're saying. Like you
the
have to
majority of
cultivate something new.
the preparation is creating a deck, and the preparation for, let's say for example, like the chess players preparing for the world championship, right? How there's like two players, they get like multiple months to prepare strategies. They're preparing strategies for the human being who is going to be their opponent. They're not preparing like um, decks for a tournament. You're preparing like yourself for how to defeat another person. I think it's like a
Yeah,
different
it's
type of
almost like
preparation.
It's almost like if they gave everybody the same two decks,
Mhm.
but there was like a bunch of different ways to play the matchup. Like that's like that if that got stale, you would, if it's deep enough, you'd be able to play it forever and there would always be intrigue. But like you were saying, exactly, because card games, the ownership of the deck is on the player, the process of creating the deck is on the player. You have to make that interesting because that's actually why we play card games. Like we play card games to play the game, but we play card games because the process of building the decks and the process of learning the new matchups and the new things is what we enjoy about it. It's the process of going through and doing things yourself. Whereas in poker, for example, what draws people to it is the process of going super deep in this game and understanding like all the different ways you can gain edges and things like that. Flesh and blood players don't study flesh and blood, they study the meta, right? Like poker players study poker. Chess players study chess.
You have any thoughts, Cody?
There's some overlap in some of these things.
Of course.
I think chess openings are essentially like what deck you're picking to play. If you want to do that analogy, which would make a little bit more sense.
I think it's more like game plans, but
Yeah, it's
it's a
some mix
combination of the two.
Yeah, it's a combination of the two of them. And that's kind of what you prep when you're playing chess. I think poker is more of you're trying to eliminate variance through very aggressive means is how I've always looked at poker. Is you're trying to take advantage of variance in a positive EV way. Card games, the reason they get stale, is because there's a million other things fighting for our attention. So I think it's like a little bit different than some of the other games that we're thinking about here. Because there are more entrenched games that have been around for a very long time, and the game is just not going to change. And you bought into that system as soon as you started playing the game. You were already aware that this will never change, and this is how it will always be. The difference about the TCG is you're buying into the fact that this will change. This is testing different skills continually. There'll be new things that I get to do. So when you run out of new things to do, or you feel like the things you're currently doing are no longer interesting, you can just go play another TCG. They're still within the same group. You don't get to just go play another chess. Now you kind of do with like Fisher Random and a couple other things. So those are why they're becoming popular is people are getting bored of normal chess. But to make it, you're just like, if you're playing chess, you're just playing chess. There isn't like chess 2 that you can go to. Like with trading card games, if you get bored, you just go to the next trading card game. And so it behooves the trading card game to continue to be interesting so that they can keep your attention. So you don't just go to the other trading card game.
Yeah, that's the other thing to go with that. This is changing a little bit in recent years with like chess.com and some of the larger poker companies, but like poker is a game, Flesh and Blood is a company, right? Like exactly what Cody was saying. Like Magic the Gathering is represented by a company that's trying to sell the game. Like there's no owner of chess, right? Like when somebody buys into chess, they buy into the game of chess. When somebody buys into Flesh and Blood, they buy into not only Flesh and Blood as a game, but also they buy into the company that sells it. And that company, exactly like you guys have been saying, requires players to be retained through fun, new, exciting things that keep them on their toes, keep them intrigued, keep them interested.
Yeah, because when you think about these other games as a tournament, like hosting facility type thing, when they have the World Series of Poker, there's like a bunch of different types of games. It's not like everything is
Mhm.
just Hold'em, right? There's
Yeah.
Stud, there's Omaha, there's like a bunch of different games that people play under the subset of poker. Like Cody said with chess, there's Fisher Random, there's Blitz,
Well,
there's Bullet, Classic,
the other
right?
thing with chess is like it also does not have as big of events because of this. Like it,
Mhm.
just like compared to the amount of people that play it, at least, right? Like you don't have because it's I mean chess is just a completely different beast because the skill gap is so much wider. But um, just like you were saying, like poker has different things, but it's all different games within the same thing.
Mhm. All right,
Cool.
these were excellent
That's
questions.
a good question.
Good question. Okay, well, I hope everyone has a good Christmas. Assuming this comes out on Christmas Eve. Other than that, I guess we'll see you next week. Hopefully, hopefully something exciting happens over the week, or maybe we start playing the games because there's no tournaments. There's no real changes. I don't think there's any product announcements. But we'll be back next week, I guess, to talk about probably how my Worlds run went again, and then
No.
Presumably, we'll talk about Columbus. It's
Maybe
got to be
people,
Columbus tier list week, right?
if
Surely.
people,
yeah.
if you listen this far, like leave stuff in the comments if you have suggestions of topics for next week. That would be great.
Yeah, I mean that's an open offer on any. You can comment whatever you would like actually on
Yeah,
any
true.
of our.
well, not anything about, but there's a.
I'm not saying it'll all stay, but you can type whatever you want to type, man.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good enough. Well, we can get out of here now. Okay.
Bye.